I was up in Rice Lake.
Wow.
Actually, right out by where let's see. So it looks like there you go. How's it going, Sean?
What's up, Sean?
Yeah, it says
Good
I
that.
like
morning,
that little
gentlemen.
background thing you got going on there.
Oh, that's just 4 or 5 of those little 6-inch squares that you plug in,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's a light show.
The Bestagons.
That's right. Hexagons are the bestagons.
We got to get some of those on our wall in here, but like full size ones, like ones that are
Yeah.
Are they
foot wide
programmable?
per-
Yeah, you can have different patterns on them, I think.
Oh boy. You just got Rod hooked on something he's going to be
Yeah.
looking at today now.
I mean, I got that little spot right there, you know?
Yeah.
Or maybe I go get bigger ones for the big wall back there.
some light
Yeah,
up ones for that wall.
I
Yeah,
bought one set, and on the box it looks bigger, so I put it on the wall. It's like those things are like 3 inches, so I had to get 4 sets just to make it look halfway size, halfway decent.
Jeff, good to see you.
Good morning.
We're admiring Sean's hexagon light wall thing in the back there.
Yeah.
We're all
Did you
simple
buy that,
men.
or was
we
that
see something
was
shiny,
that
we're
free
like,
from a demo?
Ooh.
No, that was
Ooh, look at that.
Come on now.
We're not going to get any work done, Rod, if we get any of those in our office.
Hey, we can stitch that into AI. You know, hey, those look programmable. We'll build an AI program that allows you to choose each one and connect it to a camera. And
yeah. It's nice at
So,
night. I turn off all the lights and just have that as an ambient light going back and forth. Yeah, it's got
Roddy,
a
it
bunch
looks
of
like
presets.
looks like I should have been in Orlando getting some free money or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
you missed out. Well, tell me a conference you go to. I'll book as a vendor and give you a chance. That actually, it worked out pretty good here. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of how I incorporate, or what role AI played in that event. But obviously not necessarily at the event itself, but a lot of the setup on the front side was all AI. And Niall, you'll kind of like some of this too. I had I'll show a little more my website builder.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we hear you.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can hear
All
you.
right, good. Thanks.
I'm gonna wait about 2 more minutes. I normally start all my meetings at 8:05 because people slowly trickle in. Ivan, good to see you.
so I don't know if I told you this, Rod, but last week, was it last week or the week before last? We were over at the AI4 conference in Las Vegas.
Yeah. We were chatting online.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that turned out to be kind of interesting. There were a bunch of seminars. They kind of did TED Talk seminars, 20 minutes a pop.
Yeah.
And just a number of them. I went to the educational track. Josh went to the CIO track for education, and we had an individual in institutional research. She went to like all the programming track and stuff like that. So a lot of ethics, a lot of just all across the board, different topics.
That's cool. So what are the let's just spend 5 minutes talking about the ethics of it, mainly because in 3 weeks I had to give a 4-hour talk on AI ethics. So so what are the ethical considerations of AI? Because I always get tripped up on that. I'm like, just don't be bad.
Well, it's you get into the whole intellectual property information with artists and illustrators and stuff like that. How much of their stuff is being kind of co-opted? Their style? Can you co-opt a style? I mean, is that copyrightable?
Isn't that
Context?
legal defined though? Because I mean, that according to the
Well,
U.S. Trademark, you can't copyright a style. They've like actually
true,
ruled on that.
true, but I mean, there's some gray areas. There's a product that they had and I'd have to check out my notes, but it's where you can go in, take one picture of a model, and then put that model in any pose that you want with AI, just asking about it. And then you can do product replacement. So if they're holding a can of soda, you can put like a peach or a pear in their hand just by circling it with a highlighter.
Mm-hmm.
And then the will replace it. And then you can build animation out of that. Then they had all these workflows, which are going to put like makeup artists, lighting artists, grifts, all these secondary industries out of work if you use this tool to do your marketing. So it's an interesting concept.
So the ethics come in at the point of the concern about the employees that are going to lose their job. Is that where the ethics side of it, from an educational perspective, come in, or?
For that, it's more the industry is going to be disrupted. I don't know about the ethical implications, but
All right.
if you feel that there's you're disrupting an industry, there's kind of ethical concerns about that. From the educational standpoint, there's always the ethics of how much is a student learning versus how much is a student having the AI do the work for them, and what do they take away?
Yeah, I'm in that
Yeah.
AI for educators one, and I have a lot of good, healthy discussions with educators in that
Yeah.
one on that side of it.
Yeah, I think to build on that a little bit, the and it's sort of AI kind of fits into this. Netflix announced the other day that K-pop Demon Hunters show, which is completely animated, is the biggest show. It's like their biggest show ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went and looked at the cast for that, and of course they are still using voice actors. They wouldn't necessarily have to be, but they are. But none of them are people that you would know just from their name, and maybe that's because they're not American or whatever. But my point is, again, disrupting an industry. When are we going to have completely AI generated full films? And, and I mean, they're already, these kind of things are already top hits.
Yeah,
The
and I mean,
entertainment industry.
if you think about the camera angles that you can get with AI, if you just have like your storyboards and you have your storyboards illustrated, I think what was it? Google dropped a new modeling
Yeah,
Nana
VO3.
Banana.
Oh,
Nana
I haven't seen the
Banana.
Anna Banana.
And it can do contextual continuity between their models. Before you'd have a model shot and then you'd ask for a different type of rendering, and then model's face would change somewhat. But there's model consistency, and if you think about marketing, you can take that same model and put them in like a campaign now because there's consistency. You can
Yeah.
swap out clothes and you can do all this stuff. So, what used to be a whole session, a whole day, a whole thing of a lot of people getting paid, now it can be variations based on tokens.
Yeah, that was a real problem, I think, in some of the early models was the consistency. You would start working on some sort of a project, and all of a sudden it would go south, and you couldn't get back. And
Yeah,
I
and
think it's been able to do better.
as for the music industry, I don't know if you said this, Rodney, but Shinedown, or I'll have to find my notes, but there's a whole AI music group that was started that's on Spotify that is just AI generated that has over like 1 million hits or 1 million views for their songs. And it's a grungy kind of thing. And I'll let you guys talk for a second. I'll find it, but it's very impressive what this can do. So
Yeah, a lot of people
that's
are listening to the ASMR now, and tons of that is all AI generated.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to challenge the music industry because now you have a person who's not, vocally inclined, but has some wherewithal to know music theory, and they can produce these big hits.
Well, here, I'll show something on not music per se, but let's see.
Nano Banana was the one from Gemini 2.5 Flash model.
So this here is my mother. For those that don't know, my mother died when I was in my 20s, and my little sister got married last month. So I took a picture of her, and so this is a picture from my mother when she was in her 20s, and I just made a. Wait, can we make sure we can hear the volume?
Yeah, share audio.
Share sound.
Congratulations on your marriage to Andy, and I love you, and this makes my heart happy.
So I sent that to my sister. Again, my mom died when she was 12, I think. So this is the first time she's heard a new video from her, but basically just taking so obviously very emotional and stuff like that. But just from if you become a robot and just ignore the emotional aspect of it, from a tech perspective, taking a single picture and almost bringing people back from the dead for special moments has unique opportunity. But also, if you want to talk ethics, this is also could be used very manipulatively, right? So because you could say, hey, well, actually, don't marry Andy, or do marry Andy, or I like this, or don't buy the house, and this is what mother would have said. So it's a definite gray area from an ethical perspective, but also if you talk about like image consistency, and Aaron, who's on this call here, has remembers my mom when she was a kid, and this is a pretty good likeness of her. This isn't her voice; they don't have voice emulation, but they do. I mean, if you go back and it looks like, I mean, other than obviously I put a black background on it and stuff like that, but it's it's a pretty interesting use case for that. So
Yeah, I mean it did a really good job, like, because the mannerisms it did would have been pretty close to on par on how she would have responded in life, and it just yeah, it was a surprising thing to see, that's for sure. So
yeah, I made this private and sent it to Erica privately, and then she posted it on Facebook. I'm like, all right, well, I guess this is public now. But yeah, just to show the use case of like consistency between images, or taking a single image and extending it out there. By my estimation, we should be about 2 years. If you look at video progression, 2 years ago you had that with the Will Smith ugly spaghetti one. Last year they were able to get Will Smith eating spaghetti fairly reasonably. Now they're able to get image consistency in about 10-second sections. So at that same progression, by next year we should be able to see 30 seconds to a minute, and the year after that we should easily be able to see about 30 minutes of consistent context in a video, which that's a single episode of The Office or any of those type of shows that you want. So at that progressional level, we should be within 2 years be able to have, yeah. I would suspect that we will have a Netflix style service that has content that's generated on the fly based off your taste. So if you had your favorite series that went ahead and died, well, you can bring it back and it will sit there and play forever. And if something happens you don't like, you just go back like we do prompt now and say, no, this is the main character. They don't die. Go kill someone else, and it'll go and kill that new person, or have them find exotic animals or planets if you like space. So that is those industries are definitely going to be disrupted, and much like Blockbuster Video, probably completely destroyed.
Well, I mean, to the point that you're talking about that, Rodney, I saw something on one of the YouTube videos that said that they're starting up a streaming service to kind of rival YouTube, in which case they have these vignettes or these small storylines, but the viewer kind of decides the path that the storylines head, and then the AI generation helps facilitate that. So it was in one of the YouTube rabbit holes I went down on looking at that, but they're talking about creating that service as coming down the road. I wish I could find that link for you, but I did hear about something like that in the works.
Well, I also let me hop into some of our use case stuff, and then we can talk more about this at the end of the meeting here. So I'm going to share this. So one of the first things, most of us should have played with this by now, but we have our ChatGPT 5 Pro that launched. That was pretty exciting. And there's basically 4 different levels of it. You got And they brought back 4.0. A lot of people were very upset at that, but yeah, the 5 Pro model, you can set it to auto, and this is the $200 a month mod. But if you even at the $20, you basically just get these same things at lower levels. But the Pro works pretty good. So if you do the Pro, it can take 5 to 10 minutes on a call or on a search, but it'll give you back pretty high level data, as well as combined with the agent mode. And they limit on you, but I showed agent mode a little last time as well. This will actually search a browser for you. And of course, you still got your deep research, which I use that all the time. And I'll come back to deep research. Actually, I'll have something I'll show you how I use that. But so we're actually going to come back to this. But I wanted to touch a little bit on just the 5 Pro. And has anyone on here used 5 Pro within the last month? All right, so a lot of you. So do you guys notice any major differences between that and the other models, or the previous ones?
I don't know if I use.
Go ahead.
I don't know if I use the Pro I don't pay for it, so I guess I don't get the Pro version. But I used a little bit of 5.0, and it's been updated for a lot of the coding, so it's been really helpful. I'm learning LangChain, which is used for AI, and it's got really up-to-date help with that, which has been awesome. So it's been my go-to for helping me learn LangChain.
Nice. So, and yesterday they announced a newer voice model that comes out. So, and that actually has API access. I'll show this tool as long as we're here, because it's also in the ChatGPT world. So I decided to try building a C# program, which I'd never done before. And if you don't know what that is, that's fine. You can just ignore it. But it's basically it's a computer program or an application that actually runs on your desktop instead of all web, where pretty much everything we do has always been web. But I wanted to build a sales tool that will allow to coach an individual on how they're doing from a call perspective. So let me share this. So what this does, this is and listens to the mic and the speakers, and I have call purposes in here, so like an intro call or a cold call, and then it gives a script from a system perspective or a user prompt perspective with objections on how to get past that gatekeeper and how to coach an individual that's doing that. So these are pretty long coaching sessions, and this here was really just a pilot, but the pilot version of it worked quite well. So if I click start this conversation, so it takes about 5 seconds to initiate. And then once it's initiated, now if someone out there talks a little bit, yeah, so it'll start transcribing. And then over here, it'll give recommendations to the individual if it sees anything in this call. So this thing is a cold call, but it'll give recommendations for what should this individual, how can we start steering the conversation to where we need to. So like a micro tip, sounds like uptime
right.
matters. How do we handle incidents now? Then offer a 20-minute assessment. So it's basically telling me, hey, you're getting off track. You're not asking people for appointments. You're not trying to book these assessments. How do we go ahead and actually make that happen? And it'll just keep. And I only have a 10 generic prompts in there to try categorizing this. My next job will be to get us that way it's doing a better job from transcription. But now if any of you guys talk, it should capture your conversation in there as well, and then it'll start capturing both sides of it.
Yeah, I think this would be really helpful, and we've kind of experimented a little bit on our sales calls as well. So just utilizing this and seeing how it would go, and we've tested it a couple different ways, and even in like a conversation between Rod and I, it's gone through and made some suggestions on how we could have better approached whatever conversation we've been in the past. But you can see it's starting to dictate a secondary person there.
Yeah, so this allows you to take a entry-level appointment setter, a cold caller, And if you get enough data, they can start performing at the level with objection handling as if they're a 5 or 10-year vet. Same thing from a customer service perspective. If you're sitting there talking to someone, and IT support, we have, as you can see in the background there, we have a room full of IT professionals that are all supporting clients. Well, if we feed it through data like this, it can make recommendations to them like, hey, reset the computer. Why have you tried this? Or, hey, I saw in our database actually about 5 hours, someone else from this customer called in with a similar issue here. But these might be connected. These are other tickets. So you can start doing recommendations in the background while someone's live talking, or you can start filling out the data of the ticket as a whole. You can start saying like, well, hey, this is this client. This is obviously this person. This looks like this computer here. And the end user here just clicks here, confirm, confirm, confirm. It looks like this is the type of issue you're dealing with. Yeah, that's right. All without someone after the ticket having to type that in. So if you figure average call is 5-10 minutes on from a support perspective, and they spend 5 minutes filling out the ticket afterwards. Well, if you can reduce that down to where they have almost no time filling it out, you actually got a 50% capacity increase just by removing busy work, which techs hate doing anyway. So your techs are happier, and you have bigger because techs normally love fixing problems. They hate having to fill out those tickets and having the meetings with me on why isn't this ticket filled out properly. And they're like, well, I got another call. I'm like, well, just fill out the. So that's the part like with me. That's the part we fight with tickets with our techs on. It's not, hey, did you actually go through and do a deep dive on this server? No, I can count on one hand the amount of times I've had to. Normally, it's always no, don't do that. Just get it in the ticket. Give me notes. Anyway, so this here helps empower those techs to take care of the things that they hate doing, and they can just focus on the stuff that they're really good on, the stuff I'd rather them do anyway.
That's awesome. That's really cool because what I really like about it is it's not just giving an agent to your customer to deal with. They're still dealing with a human, right? But the human is actually using the AI on the fly to help the customer. So
yeah,
that's really cool.
A key component of our business is that we have a live answer guarantee where it's literally in almost all of our guarantees. So I will never go with a non-human answering the phone. So, but we always try to find ways. All right, what can we do to make it so that way the human that is on the phone has as much brain space available to help that client? And this is one of the tools that we're trying to. And again, this is a beta version of it. You may notice this. Excuse me. It's not capturing all the text, and I literally spent maybe 5 hours on this in between working on my website builder, which is done, and I'm going to show you guys now finally. But yeah, so I'll probably over the next month work on refining this a lot more and probably get it. So Jared there, who's nodding his head happily, and and Aaron and all of us at our team here. Now, some of that stuff that we'll have to start looking at is what type of sensitive data is pushed through on a voice perspective. In general, we have call recording, and we don't want our guys shouldn't be given passwords over the phone, and their sensitive data, to my knowledge, really shouldn't be being done over the phone anyway. I just need to actually make sure that's the case because obviously now we're moving all that data through an AI, and then we can sanitize the data that we send to the AI so that way it's never getting any PII or PHI or sensitive information to the AI, because the AI never needs to know even the customer name. It can use an ID for all it cares. So there's you can basically depersonalize on that side. But
one thing I just thought of here that kind of ties to this similarly, and it's talking about sensitive data. Is I was at just an annual checkup for my doctor yesterday, and I looked over and I saw his phone he had an app running, and I like an idiot, forgot to ask what app he's using, but I was at Mayo and they're using AI dictation now. So when you're with your doctor, they start running an app and it automatically knows to cut out like small talk about like the Packers or your kids or things like that, but it dictates relatable information to the patient they're interacting with. And I thought that was pretty cool to see that they're starting to use that.
What is the LLM that you're using behind the scenes for that? Is
right here, ChatGPT.
Oh, okay. So it's just making API calls to ChatGPT or to OpenAI.
So 5 has a stream feature where you can do a consistent stream of voice to it. And I have it set up as 2 channels. So like in my settings here, I have my microphone channel and my speaker channel. So like in a talk like this, it wouldn't be as valuable because there's multiple people talking and it's not differentiating. I first started trying to break into, or not break, or integrate it in with Teams, but there's a lot of configurations you need to do to make that happen. You need like a Azure server set up. You need an Entra bot agent. You need the Azure AI LLM, and I got a lot of that set up. But 99% of the time we want to do something like this, it's a one-on-one conversation anyway, and the client is always coming through the speaker because again, like you see Jer there, he has a headphone on with the speakers, right? That's how most of my team works. So by Microsoft and speaker, well, that means Zoom calls, team calls, phone calls. This tool here could work on all of them, and all I need to do is set up an API key for it, and it'll start moving it back and forth. And I have it set up so that way, I guess I don't. I took, there's some other models that can do it. I went with just GPT, but it would take me one prompt call to add in another AI into there. So.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I've never done any C# development like in my life. And that was I mean, AI, of course, did all of it. So. Let me show, let's go back to, all right. So with Grok, so the big announcements from a lot of these providers are just more powerful, and I'm gonna go through 3 of them. But like Grok actually went from a 1 million token down to 256, but their Grok 4 model actually started to top the charts as far as a benchmark one, or is right on par with ChatGPT from a capabilities perspective. Now, from a coding perspective, I've tested them and they're actually quite far behind. They're nowhere near where a Claude or a GPT is, but we'll see if they continue to develop and build more tool use on the backside. And if they do, I think they could be a competitor on there. But and I'm not going to spend a lot of time showing these because it just takes 5 minutes per call, and all you see is a fancy document, which a lot of you guys have already seen. Claude has 2 major upgrades. One is they went from a 200,000 token up to 1 million tokens now. So they're right on par with Google. And 1 million tokens gives you about enough to have the entire Harry Potter series inside a single prompt and be able to answer back and forth on it. So that's a decent amount of text. So if you're looking at software dev or policy and procedures, that's just imagine that's how much text can go inside of here and it can reason on it. And I watched an interesting video that talked about basically drift, that the larger context you're using, that just because it can reason on it, you actually get less of a needle and haystack response out of some of these. So, and what that is, if you ever started to do a long chat with any of these, you start noticing that towards the end of the chat, it starts to almost give you worse results. And with with GPT-4 5, I noticed that when coding, that I have to go and create a new prompt if the code that's coming out, if I tell it to do two or 3 things, it will end up only doing one of them. And I'm like, why didn't you do all of them? They're like, oh yeah, I'll get all of those. If I just start a new prompt, it goes and does a great job, knocks it out of the park again. And I basically just keep using that until it stops doing a great job. And I just start a new chat because its context has gotten too long, that its killer context level right now, I think, is about 100,000 tokens, even though it can go up to 400,000. Once you start getting past that 100,000, it starts to drop off from not from its recall perspective, which is what the needle and haystack is, but from its reasoning and logic perspective. So it can tell you any individual piece of data within that 400,000 token very, very well. But if you're asking it to reason on 2 different concepts that it has within that context, which you use a lot with development or policy and procedures, or I don't know if we have anyone doing any scientific research on it, or like cybersecurity reviews. If you're doing large context, it's just having a hard time reasoning. And I think that will be one of the newer frontiers that these models are going to start trying to fight, because now in the last 6 months, they've gotten the needle and haystack pretty well refined now. So they can do large contacts with good needle and haystack. So the next frontier is to get it so you can reason on these large contexts. Any question on that? So I'm gonna assume everyone knows what context is, but like I said, it's the amount of text that can go into a model, and it can reason outside of its standard training model. And going up to 1,000,000 tokens, 1,000,000 tokens about the Harry Potter series. 100,000 tokens about one book, one of the Harry Potter books. No questions? If so, I'll move on. All right. Another big one that came out this week, and it's in beta right now. And I told my co-owner Tim and brother happens to have the Claude Pro account, so he filled out for this. He hasn't gotten it yet, but what this is if anyone uses Perplexity, they have a Perplexity web browser that they came out with that also the ChatGPT agent mode here, where you can actually put this attachment or put the Claude as an attachment into not an attachment, a extension. There we go. Put an extension into Cursor, and then let me reset here. Put an extension into Chrome, and then the AI will actually control the Chrome browser for you. So you can have it will go and research flights for you, hotels for you, restaurants for you, and then it uses this as its context and can book a meeting on you. So anything your browser has access to, it will go ahead and actually have access to, which is it's a way of giving the AI access to usernames and passwords that you wouldn't normally want to be able to give to an AI. So like if you wouldn't want to just put all your email passwords and password safes into AI in case it's breached. But if you log in, it's just using the session there that as soon as you close out of the session, that it no longer has access to any of that information. You're watching it as it goes. So by next month, I hope to be able to at least demo this. I know, yeah. I would also suspect we will see an OpenAI version of this, whether or not they go with a full browser or not. Perplexity, I don't know if you saw in the news, they actually made a bid to Google to actually buy Chrome, where they we want to buy this because Google got into some trouble from antitrust. I think it's antitrust or basically anti-competitive practices, where they're saying that they're using their monopoly status to dominate the browser market. So Perplexity came to hey, we'll give you $30-some billion. Give us Chrome. You won't have a conflict anymore. And which would technically solve it. But OpenAI is well, if you're serious about selling this, we would like to be in the bidding as well. So all of these browsers, they're all of them are trying to move forward to take over the browser, because the browser is where 95% of our day-to-day work is normally done. We're really in a browser world that, as we do IT support for clients, almost all of them have cloud-based applications that they're using this. So the browser is the operating system for a lot of individuals. Any questions on that? All right. Well, now we'll get into the meat and potatoes of what I'm going to show you guys here. So let's go in. So this here is Get IT for CPAs. And if you're friends with me on Facebook, you saw I was at a conference in Orlando here. I think I came back with a little bit of a sickness of some kind. I got a little sore throat, but this website here looks pretty nice, I think, Has little call to actions on it and stuff like that. But this website was entirely, so this is a 130-page website, all with CPA-specific items like the IRS 40557, GLBA, SOC 2 requirements, all highly specific. And this is a project I've been working on for about 3 months, but I have a website builder that will fully go and just build these websites for us. So this website, what it does is it starts out over here. We grab some general business info. What we want to do, we'll build a psychological profile for this. So here, like, what's their external struggles? What's their internal struggles of this client avatar? What's their problem? What's the stake? Success definitions for an IT perspective. And these are the bases that we start to use to build our prompts that we will go build the content for all those individual pages. So when you go to our universal framework, these are our buying profiles. So the people that are making the buying decision for that. So if we go managing owner, we get where in the onboarding cycle are they? Are they just becoming aware of Cooley Tech? Are they considering buying? Are they at the decision phase? Are they at the onboarding phase? Or are they a client and now we're at the advocacy phase? And you see what their emotional drivers are, what their key messaging, proof trust, primary call to actions. And these call to actions are what would get them to actually reach out to want to engage us as a whole based off where they're at in the buying cycle, off their unique profile for them. And all this data is 100% created by an AI that all I do is tell it the basis up here of this is what the basic type of the company we're trying to target. And it goes through and starts to create all these like, well, if that is the type of client that you target with this. And if you're going to target these are their emotional drivers. These are different types of companies that you'd be looking for. So CPA firms with 5 to 10 employees have a different emotional driver than CPA firms with 10 to 20 employees, and all the way up to 100 plus employees. Because at here, this is normally an owner-driven company where owner founder started and drove the company. Whereas when you get up to this point here, this is normally a CEO-driven company. There's a board of directors, there's a CFO, a CTO, and they have just different emotional drivers. Like the CEO here wants to make sure their board members are good, whereas the owner here is someone that would normally their clients are likely their friends. They go to church with them, they play golf with them, so they just have different emotional drivers. This person wants to bring high returns and be secure, and they don't want to be embarrassed from something that they should have protected against. Where this one is more relational connection that they don't want to have to increase their costs too much, but they want to make sure that they're protecting their friends. So it goes through and every one of these individuals gives a really elaborate proof test for how do you build messaging for that individual. And then it goes through and builds the structure for the whole site based off those proof tests. So here you see the site structure as a whole, and these are the SEO words that would be targeted toward there with the call to action that's associated on that. And then we get our brand identity. So that way we get our colors and stuff that we're going to use. And then we go to staging. So at staging, I go and make sure all the pages are ready to go. So I got my proper structure and folders. I built my page JSON, which is going to be used as my staging ground to build each of these individual pages. I got my sitemap, color scheme, AI connected. And one difficulty part was actually to get the header working correctly. Because while there's 130 pages, you don't want 130 links on your header page. So we send this through an AI that has, again, a custom prompt to it to go look at all the pages and then build what does it think the header would look like. And that header ends up being what you see up here. And then we do the same thing from the footer perspective. We want to make sure that we have all the different footer items that are matching the pages that are associated to it. And I have hidden text in here. So I have like my pixel code for retargeting. We have a chatbot we threw into there, which I, again, use AI to build the chatbot. Then I run a validator to test each of the different templates that will end up building this. So you have your home, modern, service, info, contact, and location. And then I can go and if I click preview, so this gives me just a sample one of this is what the color scheme and stuff and the headers, and this makes sure that I'm good to go as far as making this page and verify my color scheme, and then we'll go to page creation. So at the page creation, this will go and generate the context. So this is the prompt that I'm using to build the content for this. So it's loading in all the data that came in from those previous ones. I have some custom prompt, but we're putting into this prompt here the emotional drivers, the key messaging, the call to action. So that way you send that to the AI and it will return me a JSON file, which is a way of storing the data that has all the data for this particular page. And it also creates a meta prompt, which I use then to generate an image. So the AI, so based on the content it wrote, then it writes a prompt for what type of image should get generated as a result of this. And no, I don't want to generate, not on my home one. We'll do this one. So here it takes about a minute to generate the new page, but once the page is, or I'm sorry, to generate the new image. So once the image is generated though, then I have the opportunity to take a look at it. Does it look right? And if it doesn't, I can go ahead and cut it out, flip it, give a different aspect ratio if I wanted to. Do I want it centered, head, bottom, lower? But normally to build a site of this size, I mean, this would be months and months of work and research, and normally multi-different specialties, because you'd have someone that is a copywriter that is very good at writing the content associated to this. And that's only if they understand marketing and sales enough to understand call to actions and to get inside the buyers, which normally you need to find a specialist within the CPA world that knows the emotional drivers of the CPA as a whole, where in this case, the AI knows those drivers. And I can use this and there, that's pretty decent for a case study image, right?
How long have you been working on this?
So this took me so I got my first prototype done after 2 weeks, and it's just doing it in between meetings and stuff. So it's not like it'd be great if I could just lock myself in a corner somewhere and do it. But unfortunately, my team needs me every now and then, so, but so I'd probably say I spent 25% of my time for 2 weeks. So this was probably a 3-day project to get a prototype working. That worked well. So then I wanted to make it so I have multi-templates. I have custom prompts for each of the different templates, because the service page versus the contact page has different goals and contexts beyond just like a contact page doesn't have a call to action that's targeted. Your home page should be for the all client base as a whole. So anyway, I about 3 months to get it to this point. So you consider 25. So it's about 3 weeks solid of work but it's quite, I mean, all the image are AI generated, all the text are AI generated, all the call to actions are AI generated. Everything is AI generated. I mean, other than going through and making sure it's accurate, that's all that's required on any of these. Yeah, it's like this one here, for example. Yeah, you can see how I don't love his head's cut off. So then I come back here. We're gonna go change that to the top.
Is that a list of the pages or the images that
the pages?
Oh, okay.
And every page has an image as well. So if I go back to the healthcare one, that's not the one I did. Oh, this healthcare. Yeah. So that's a little better then. So you got his whole face in there. They're looking at all this data.
And what did you do to make that change? I couldn't quite see. What did you do to make that change?
I click on here, and then I just say I can do bottom, top, or center.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And I can flip it if I wanted to. So, and then it rebuilds the page. But like the AI literally built how do I build the pages as well? Oh, so that way, yeah, so there the image is flipped, right? So now everything's backwards. We obviously don't want to keep it that way. Actually, I think I need to there.
So would this be something that you would give to your clients to use so that they could make updates to their website, or is this something that you just keep in-house and they would ask you to make changes? Or
right now I don't think it's a tool that it still requires a little bit of knowledge on how I built all this. So like if I had a client that wanted me to build them a website, I'd be happy to do it. It would take me not that long at all. And especially, there's things I want to improve on it. So, but if you come back to like the website as a whole, like these, I don't think they click through to. I didn't have the AI go through and actually create the call to actions, so I got to go fix that. Yeah. So there's a couple things I need to fix. I had it ready for my conference, and the site looks like a good site, you know. So unless someone really clicks around deep into it, which is a very small percentage, most people just come to a homepage like this and then go. So I got work I got to finish on it next week, but that I'll have all that fixed here in no time at all.
Wow.
So we also create like utility pages. So here, if I want to edit the header, I can go change. And from an AI perspective, I found it's easier to build small pages to do small functions than it is to try getting that integrated into my large page builder. Because this page here was made in like 2 or 3 prompts, whereas you can end up, because of the context window issue again and the logic between multiple things, it just becomes more difficult to do that on a single file. So rather than sitting here at this page and trying to add in the ability for a header and all these different things, I just built a utility page that if there's individual things I want to go and fix, I can do that here. But this looks like a pretty cool little application, and this application took me, I think, 15 minutes to build. This part right here, the call to action, the CTA audit. And that makes sure they're linking to the right thing. Now I can go and look at like, why isn't that accurate? Because this isn't accurate. It's giving me false info, but I'll go and fix that. Again, not worried. And the last thing on this is, so Jer actually created this. So we were at the conference and we had a login screen on this, and the login screen was killing us because there were 2,300 people in this conference room. So that means that internet was trying to be ran for 2,300 people. They had almost no internet. So he went and just recreated this as a simple form that I can fill out. And then we had our golf game as associated to it. But we were able to, I think, Jerry, you saw 1 submission a minute at our peak, right?
Yeah, normally towards the beginning for the first couple hours, we'd get 1 submission a minute.
Yeah. So it's a pretty good recession or good lead gen option that also has the invisible Facebook pixel on here. So everyone that's coming here, we can retarget then for the next 90 days. Instead of having to use normally they charge like $1,000 or $2,000 for the scanner that the conference is using. And I can't retarget them then either. So this here gave us much better, from a marketing perspective, capability on that. So any questions on any? I know I hit everyone with a lot of stuff and it was a little more geeky than normal, but no
Pretty
questions.
amazing. I've been a programmer for 25 years, and just the things you can, like the website builder would take a team of 20 developers 2 years to do something like that. I mean, it's crazy.
It is crazy. Yep. Yeah, AI allows you to do in minutes what would take skilled individuals months to do.
Yeah.
Like Jer rebuilt our golf app and deployed it in less than 30 minutes.
Wow. Have you run into like any major snags with that? Has there been anything that where, I don't know, I'm just curious if it's just been all smooth sailing or if there's been some major setbacks along the way or
Well, so like from a setback perspective, this program here originally had staging and creation all within the same one. But the problem I started getting is the file got so large that it couldn't do logical assessment on either of them or on them. So I'd like fix one thing, but I wouldn't know until I'm going to generate these pages that it's not actually fixed or it's mocked up. So I had to break these into in 2 separate sections. So it's more being mindful. very similar like with your students. If you gave them an assignment and you saw no one is getting this, you know you have to break that assignment up into a couple different sections because it's too much for them right now. AI is very similar to that. I keep pushing it to see, all right, here's what I want to do. Like I know I want to do this, and I would have loved for to be able to come to an AI and say, hey, make me a website builder, and it just goes and builds all this, right? But it can't. So I have to break it out into all these different sections, make sure I understand the sections, act as an architect more than an actual coder or developer. And in the software world, we've seen that happen, right? I mean, you don't teach any of your students assembly language anymore, right? We built software languages and compilers because assembly is just too inefficient to operate in. And I think this is just a new layer on top of that, where from a we need to be mindful of what do we want the architect of this to actually do, because the AI can build almost anything you want, but you need to know what do you want to build, just like a house builder. If you came to a house builder and said build me a house and just gave them a blank check, you probably are not going to be thrilled at whatever you walk into because you have a vision in your head. It doesn't mean the builder did a bad job building a house. It's just not your vision. Same thing from an AI perspective, that these AI can do almost anything you want to, but you have to have in your head a knowledge of what is it that I want to do. That makes sense?
Well,
Yeah.
and the core tech, and the, you know, it's interesting because the core technology is changing so fast that, you know, as you're building now, you can, and I'm sure this probably happened in your process, as you're building now, all of a sudden you realize, hey, with this new model, I can do this, this, and this that I couldn't do 2 weeks ago.
Yep. Yeah, last summer at this time, I was building our a cold call assessment tool, and it took me about a month and a half or 2 months to build it total. And what it did is it took all our call recordings, transcribed them, and had AI grade them, and see did we get to the decision maker? Did how was our pitch? You know, all that type of stuff. Well, I can rebuild that tool now in 30 minutes. Like that's literally so last year, and even as I'm building this, I'm okay with being a little sloppy because I know, and we're not sloppy from a security perspective, right? I have a 20-year vet upstairs above me here that he sets up all these environments with the idea that he has unskilled individuals going in there. So he sets up the security so that way we basically have a playground that has a nice protected fence around it. We can do whatever we want inside our playground. You know, and he knows like, well, if you're going to be outside if you're going to have access to the internet, I'm not giving you access to anything internally. Or if you are, we have to tell him, hey, I want this, 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 this. And he's like, okay, here's your endpoint. That's all I can access. You know, and so from a security perspective, we got to be concerned on that. But from a capability perspective, we're very sloppy in that. If it works today, I'm fine with waiting 6 months for a better model to come out that will polish it up.
I wonder, again, I'm coming from the angle of a guy who's been programming for a lot of years, so this stuff is like mind blowing for me to see what you can do with it. I'm just wondering, because I've heard that you can introduce a lot of technical debt if you depend too heavily on vibe coding, and I think that becomes a problem if you're building something that has to scale and be used by a lot of people. I don't know. So
you definitely can build the technical debt in there, but you can mitigate that as well. Like even if you just use the AI to put the repository into it and say summarize all the different function of this or tell me how these things work. Well, then that can go ahead and give you a write out of, you know, I mean, I can show you an example of that if you like here.
I don't want to derail the conversation. But
like here, can you give me a summary of this app? I am a new developer and my boss wants me to start working on this. So in this scenario here, much like I did my website builder, I still have human review of all the steps because I don't want to start out with my blueprint building and all of a sudden build a blueprint that is going to build a website that is worthless, right? So here AI will sit here for a while. It's searching. It's like, All right, so I see my Python server. I see it's written in Python. Which part of this program? I'd never written a Python program either. I mean, technically, I've never written any program. I mean, HTML maybe, and you know what? PHP. I wrote PHP back 20 years ago. I think my PHP include I could do the include function and a couple other ones.
I need to go find a different job.
I don't think so. I mean, every tech boom that we've ever had, people just become more tech hungry. And a great example, I think, is building and maintaining a computer today is significantly easier than it was in the late 90s or even early 2000s, right? If you ever put together a computer and you were doing it in the 90s, you had to have the floppy disk for your network card. Otherwise, you were never going to be able to download anything ever. And if you lost that network card and retried installing your computer, you literally have to go find one and get it mailed to you, or go find someone that has a computer and get it mailed to you, because that network card will not work. Same thing with your sound, and you had to get your sound blaster, all that stuff. Whereas now, like my son Jeremiah there, if he rebuilds a computer, yeah, he's like, it's easy. I plug this in here and everything just comes back up. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it does. But since the 90s, we have not had a decrease in computer technicians. We've had a significant increase. Same thing with software dev. You see, I have these capabilities, but you're not going to see software development die as an industry. You're going to see what is expected of a software developer significantly increase. Because if you see, I can build a website, 150-page website in seconds. Well, now some people are not going to be buying 5, 10, 20-page websites. They're all going to start wanting, well, I want a 200, 500-page website, and I want a custom write-out for every product that I'm selling, as well as, extreme data in detail on every one of those products. So all of a sudden, and every small, medium business is going to demand that from their developers now. And if they don't, they're just going to go over to someone like their friend Rod Holm that's going to be more than happy to give it to them, right?
Yeah.
So that is the arms race that we're in, that we're not going to see these jobs go away, because technology never stagnates like that. It just, we start expecting more from it.
Right. There's going to be more demand for stuff. People are going to have
data is really like a drug. As soon as you get more of it, you only want more.
Yeah. I've noticed when I try and vibe code, I'm not very good at it, because I have to go look at all the code that it generates, and I have to understand it, and that's kind of defeats the whole purpose of it. So like, I'm a really slow vibe coder.
Like here, like this CTA audit, I haven't even opened this file ever. Like, these are all the audit files. All I do is go where they're supposed to, and does the file work? If the file works, I'm good.
So
now it's locked behind our passwords, right? And it's in a very secure environment. I don't have to worry about breaches and stuff like that. But actually, here, I'll show you this. Can you do a security review of the code and give recommendations for improvement? And the AI does a pretty good job on this. Yeah, like something my brother Tim has showed me, and he's done before, is he'll take his programs that are going to be public facing, and he'll just ask the AI to do a deep review of it from a security perspective and show him any vulnerabilities that are out there. And he can tell it to go specifically look for network vulnerabilities, look for injection vulnerabilities, go through the MITAR attack and what attacks is this compromised to, and then it will tell him, hey, here's how I would recommend fixing them. And he'll either go fix them himself, or he'll say, all right, go ahead and try fixing that. And then he'll have another AI sitting there, run another security review. Now, that's a little above my head, because I don't know enough about that world to know if it's telling me to do something accurately or not. But yeah, see here, it's arguing with me. It doesn't like how big I made those files. It's saying the blueprint.html is too large, the pages is too large.
Oh, it's not saying those are security issues. It's just having problems ingesting. Okay.
And down here you can see out of my 400,000 token or 270,000 tokens, I've already used 40,000 tokens, which last year at this time, 32,000 tokens was pretty much max for the higher models. And by next year, by this time, we should be playing with 2 to 5 million token models pretty easily. But everyone on the call, even if you're not doing this level of development, you can just go to ChatGPT, ask it to build you a single file app, and turn any Excel file you have into a CSV, and it'll build its own uploader. So
What
you
was
can start
that?
viewing your data however you want.
Oh, okay. So, okay, you can just create a web page that you can upload a CSV file to, and then start playing with the data. Okay,
Yep.
that's cool.
Yeah, it's like, can you output in a code block a single file web app that I can run from my desktop? I want an importer for a CSV file that will have 4 rows in it. Display those rows. Actually, I want one more command in here. Output in code block. Oh, I'm sorry. You guys couldn't see me typing that. I'm on my browser. Let me go over to that. So yeah, here's the prompt that I threw together for that. And we'll look at the details. Oh, I chose Pro. I didn't even need to do that. Boy, that's running. Let's see. Does this even... Do I have this up? I do. These are all a bunch of little games that I made just to test different capabilities. So this is a spaceship game that has a working orbital solar system. And then it tracks my... So think of it as a 2D Kerbal. And then I can go change my event horizon if I wanted to. So if I get too close to the sun, it'll change its orbit.
That's all just a single web page?
Yep.
That is crazy. How many prompts did that take?
Honestly, I think it was like 5.
Oh my God.
So here I'm changing my orbit. So I got a sling maneuver around the sun, and I should get close to that. Now maybe I want to come out there, and then I can change my time dilation. Oops. There I'm going to actually hit the sun. We don't want to hit the sun.
I worked on a asteroids game, and it took me about a year and a half to finish it.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago, but
Yeah, so like I didn't even type in any of these commands here. It created all these, like I can change my camera angle, I can pause the game, so all these type of things here, I just tell it I want it to do a couple little things and it just adds it for me. Let's reset this again. Too far. All right. We'll go and do an insertion around the moon. And I know this is really geeky. I just thought it was cool. Oops. All right, let's And then once you get close enough to the moon, it'll change the. There you go. Oops. I'm actually going to lower my time down a little bit. There we go. So now we're in orbiter on the moon. Well, so there I did a little sling maneuver, it looks like. All right. Let's see if our other stuff is ready. So this is still thinking. All right, so they're both still thinking. It is a downside to some of these more advanced models that they do take a little while to think.
So in the details is that, I see the prompt that you have is just in the gray box in the middle. So that, and then.
Yeah, over here's the details.
Okay, so that's. I did read in the news that there's been some disappointment in ChatGPT 5. I don't know the details, but I heard that like the rollout didn't go super well. But
I think people were expecting a lot out of ChatGPT 5, and while it is an improvement, it wasn't the home run you were looking for, right? So it's kind of like if you went and made an investment and you were expecting 10x return and they give you an 8x, you're like, "Aw."
It's so funny that seemed to drive all the news cycle about how are we on the AI bubble, is that about to burst? And it seemed like it was all kind of triggered by that rollout. Or I don't know, maybe there's other stuff.
I do think we're on we're in an AI bubble, but that's more because like if you relate back to the last big bubble, which you probably not the housing bubble of 08, but like the .com bubble. It's just that there was too many players out there at the time. Like back in the late 90s, if you had a website idea, venture capitalists would have given you as much money as you asked for. So it wasn't that websites as a whole were bad or weren't going anywhere, or there weren't going to be companies that ended up making a lot of money on websites, or it wasn't going to revolutionize how we did the world. People just over invested into it. Whereas right now, like you have what was one of the co-founders, the female's name from OpenAI that went and started her own company, and as well as two of their top engineers quit last year, and they both went and founded new companies. They both got multi-billion-dollar valuations. They literally have nothing right now. Like it's just them, and they get multi-billion-dollar because they're going to go create a new AI, right? It's like maybe some of them might, but you already have 5 massive players in the game right now, not including China. Like the whole country of China is investing in their companies to try beating us in there. So in America, we have 5 major companies. You have Meta, GPT, Microsoft, Grok, and Claude. You can't have 5 people win that race. Much like the search engines or the browsers, you're going to have 2, maybe 3 are going to end up being dominant and fighting. So right now we're already oversaturated in that side of the fence. But the amount of money even those companies have to fight with is so massive. Like they are buying nuclear power plants across the country just to fit their electrical needs that they need. Meta's building a multi-billion-dollar facility the size of Manhattan to go ahead and build and compete in this AI space. So in the La Crosse area, we're very blessed that we have like Trane down there makes the coolers, chillers. Their chillers are used in both the data centers and the power generation. They are going to be booked out for the next decade off orders they have on hand right now. So yeah, there is a bubble. It's going to pop, but it's just because we're oversaturated and everyone is investing money anywhere they can. So yeah, so here, let's go and take this thing.
Gosh, I don't know how this is good. I'm gonna have to change the way I teach all this stuff. mean, yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting semester for me with my
Boy,
beginning
I'll be happy to come
programmers.
on in there and help you out as much as you want.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a vibe coding demo would be good. I mean, I just have
I'd
to.
be happy to come do a Vibe. If you want, I'll have my 16-year-old who's sitting there who starts his junior year of high school come in and show how to do it.
Okay. Yeah,
And he's been vibe coding for over a year.
I'm just like the thing I'm wrestling with is how much of the code do they need to understand? Because I'm looking at this code right now, and just that CSS code right there, we don't even get to that in our web programming 1 class. Just that first line of CSS code.
Well, I can tell you, Jer can't tell you what a single thing of that code does.
So, but that's
Okay,
but
I
that's,
can tell you what most of my code does.
All right.
I can't recreate it or create it, but I can tell you what this specific file
All right.
does
What is
in
this
my
doing
code
here?
base. That's going to be not your CSS because this is all HTML. That's your UI.
All right. I don't think that's what the professor there is looking for an answer, but that is accurate.
I can, like, if I show you
it is
my
CSS
base, I
code
can
though.
tell you what it does.
But
But
yeah, so like
to
this
be
is the application then,
counteractive
right?
to
So I can
that,
go
I
choose a
would
file, I can upload it now, and then I can I can drag and drop it,
the
and
thing
then
is,
and
though,
that's
is
all just
even
with ChatGPT.
the thing is though, even if Jer not knowing maybe what that directly is, he would be able to utilize AI to say, hey, can you give me an explanation of this that would suit
Yeah,
what
that's the big thing I'm really wrestling with is how much coding do they need? I mean, we spend most of our program trying to learn how to understand and actually write code. They don't need to write it anymore because AI does all that, but how much do they need to understand? That's just what I'm trying to wrap my head around, and I don't know.
So something so on that AI for Educators site that I was talking, and I pop on there a couple times a week, and I'm not the most favorite guy out there, but what I would encourage them, and you could look at this, is have half your class do an assignment without any AI, and then have the other half do it with AI.
Yeah.
Compare the answers, compare the output, and compare the understanding.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the output would be drastically different.
Yep.
But
even the
yeah.
understanding, because then you go on and explain what is this code doing, where in the code is it doing it, and then have the team switch. Say, all right, you guys are going to be manual, you guys are AI, so that way then they get an experience both of I understand it, and what you might find is that if they know that they're going to have to explain their code, they might use AI to learn what their code does. Right?
Yeah.
Because Aaron's right. That's exactly what Jer would do. If he was going to come in and was told that he has to explain his code, he would probably have a 10-page document on what every single function does and how it connects, and he'd just read that a couple times to make sure he can understand and answer questions on it. But then he would ironically end up learning what you're trying to teach him because he has to tell you what his AI did.
Yeah. It's not only using AI to write the code, it's using it to teach you how the code works that it wrote.
Yeah.
I look at it
But
a lot
it's
like you think about like our math classes when we were kids, right? Some of us could come to the answer we needed to, but we hated showing our work, right? So like this is that exact scenario except in the coding world and using AI.
Yeah, because maybe that's what you start doing more of is like, look, this is what we're going to build. Everyone's expected to build it, but then I want you to explain to me what the code does and how does it do it. And you can tell them, you will have kids that will use AI if you simply just tell them, or if you don't tell them that they can't. You be like, look, I don't care if you use AI or not, but come to code, prepare to explain your code. And if you want to use AI to get a good understanding of how your code works, great.
Well, and some lessons you get out of this is you're going to see where AI hallucinates and where maybe they would have been trusting something out of AI as a source of truth, and in all reality, it did hallucinate in an area or something that gave incorrect information. So it teaches them to look for the inaccuracies or where to go to find those inaccuracies too.
Yeah.
But if you wanted me to come in and do a vibe coding session, I'd be more than happy to.
Okay, I will be following up with you on that.
Yeah, because you could even prompt your student like, hey, look, we're gonna have someone call me whatever you want, right? AI expert, vibe coder, it doesn't matter. But you could also prep them with, hey, I want you guys to try again. And why is this the wrong way? What are the fears? You know, I have no problem with that. I think one of the best conferences I was ever at, I had a who was it? Some PhD that's been published more times than
you were at
from Harvard.
And
he went there, and I did an AI session for some behavioral health. He spent the last 30 minutes telling everyone how they should never do anything I told them to, like right in front of the I just absolutely, it is to this day like my proudest moment from speaking. I'm like, wow, I really shook his yeah, he did not like what I was doing, even though afterwards everyone was coming out was like, "Whoa, that was just absolutely amazing. You did what he did and but it did it for us." I'm like, because he was coming from, hey, you need to know how to do this, right? Not just anyway. So if you could prep your class, hey, there's an opportunity to push back on why is this the wrong way, because you're going to have students that are very opposed to AI, and it's a good opportunity for them just to at least have that heard that and I can talk more freely than maybe you can, you know, because I don't have any job concerns.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll follow up with you on that if it works for you. But
oh yeah, we can definitely make it work. So just give me a couple dates of that. Yeah.
Thank you. So wow, so this is all from that one paragraph that you entered.
Yep. Yeah, so here's all the code that ended up coming. Yeah, so I typed this in 7 minutes, it built this. And
do you think you have a example CSV on hand that you could use to see if it actually works or no?
I can do better, Jer. Can you give me
young
a sample
Padawan, how
CSV
you will learn here quickly?
I could use?
I didn't think about using AI to make the CSV.
Young Padawan,
you have much to learn, young sir. I knew exactly when you asked that question what was going to happen next. I could have easily put my paycheck on that response.
This is super cool. This would be a great beginning activity too, because it introduces the students to, okay, you know, there's data behind these applications, and that's usually a big struggle, is getting them, like in the first semester or so, getting them to realize that, you know, to understand that these apps are data driven. And gosh, that's cool.
Well, and I think one of the things for you too to think about is like that exact scenario you just went through. Put your scenario into the AI and say, how can I make this so it's more relatable to these students coming in so they can perceive it better at an earlier state so we can progress faster into other lessons. Like AI has done that for me in so many settings that I go and do trainings with professionals on. And if I start seeing people's eyes gloss over, I'm like, okay, well, let's scale it back. Like, what are you into? What are hobbies or interests you're into? And then I use AI to build those mutual grounds of understanding. Like, it's such an amazing thing you can do with AI.
Yeah, people just have to be careful. They just have to use it in the right way. Otherwise, it can be totally counterproductive when it comes to learning. So, I mean, I've caught students that have, you know, cut and pasted stuff right from ChatGPT and turned it in, and I could tell because it included all the metadata and stuff. And I mean, so obviously, if they're using it in that way, they're not learning anything. So
Well,
Wow.
they are learning how to use AI. I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, so there you see that's the sample data. I loaded it, and of course, then you can tell them to expand. Well, let's make these columns so that the headers so they sort and
Or you could even edit it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it would get more complicated because in the for the browser app to be able to support the editing of the data too. But from this is a starting point that could go in so many different directions right here.
well, if you think about it, this is already using browser storage, so you can
Yeah.
edit it in browser, and then
Is it
to get it so you could actually rewrite it to the file. There, you need to have a web server because browser doesn't have access to the desktop as a whole. But
is it actually storing the data in local storage, or is it just parsing the Excel file? I guess it's hard to know right now.
yeah.
If-
So like I use Cursor so much that it's hard for me to. So basically, what you do here is you'd say I'd probably put it back to high or pro or think or something like that. But you say, can you add local storage, sort, and the ability to edit to this file, to this code, re-output. I'm pretty sure that would work.
So re-output basically just tells it to rebuild everything from scratch. That's why you added
Yeah.
re-output?
So like unlike Cursor, which is why I'd encourage your students you to have a cursor section to show them how to do this. And
Mhm.
maybe you wait till second. You tell people, hey, in second semester we're going to start doing this. We're going to learn the basics and the. Let me restart. Like maybe you spend the first rather than spend all 4 semesters on basics. Maybe just highlight the basics in the first semester and say, hey, by semester 2, we're going to start developing code. If you want to skip ahead, play with Grok, play with Cursor, but we're going to spend the first just make sure you understand the basics of what is a CSV, how do you store data, what's local storage, and you basically just fly through it so that you don't they don't have to know in depth what a div is, what a CSS is, what a style sheet is,
Mhm.
or in depth how to build it, but you can gloss over it. Hey, these are the basic things that we're going to be working with, and then we're gonna actually start working with them next semester. So
Yeah, like when I'm building, I can't. So I said I can tell you what my code base does. I can tell you the gist of what this is going to do, but I cannot tell you exactly how it does it. So, like you said, just the basic ideas and principles of how they work, but not the nitty gritty of exactly what they do and every detail of how they work.
That's what I keep trying to wrap my head around is how much will my students need to understand, how much of the nitty-gritty code are they going to need to understand? That's yeah, I don't, because that takes a long time to learn that stuff
so
mean,
here's a recommendation then. Have extra credit in your class for whoever can build with AI the most complicated advanced program based on the students judging. So that way it's non-partial at the end, right? But you're going to tell them that you need to edit some items because what you're going to have is that someone's going to build a program so large that the AI can't edit it anymore. And then when it gets to the end where you're going to say, hey, I want you to change, you can even do something as simple as change this color, change this folder. The AI, they've shot themselves in the foot because they relied too much on AI. So you will
Mhm.
show the students that look, AI is great, you can get far, but look what happens if you get too far without any basics.
Hmm.
So that way it almost reinforces. It's not like, to me, what I think that does is that you're not pretending AI isn't useful and you're not pretending AI isn't going to change things, right? But you're showing them through experience AI has a limit and not on an assignment on extra credit. So it's only the students that really thought to go far. And you're basically showing those people that they might be really high performers, but they need to understand that even AI has a limit. And it's important to understand the basics of how to do this and how to structure it.
Hmm.
And being out with extra credit, the people that want to do it by manually, let them do it manually. You know, that's a.
I can't imagine anybody would choose that option once they see how the
You know,
results you can get from using AI.
while that's true, I think there are people who are just morally feel AI is an evil they cannot use. Like
Huh.
especially among young people, that there is a mindset of that.
Yeah.
So I was talking to some teachers, and they were like, they had half their they tried to do an AI, and half the students just would not use it.
Wow. Those
And I'm
people are
like,
gonna.
all right, that's strange, but sure. And again, maybe your class wouldn't have that. You're probably going to have those with a little higher technical capabilities, and
Well, not really. I get students that start and they don't know the difference between copy and cut, to be honest, or they don't know what a zip file is. So,
all right.
and that's what's expected. We're starting them from basically ground zero. So, and I think to be a good vibe coder, you have to really, it really helps to obviously know a lot about the technology, like, I mean, they're not going to know what local storage means or or what even storage means and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So,
And those might be, see, that'd be hard for me. Like if I was wanting to become a developer, I went to school and all of a sudden I'm being taught those type of things, right? Like even Jer, like he graduates, if he wanted to go become a software developer, right, and get a degree, if he spent his first quarter learning that type of stuff, that would just be hard for him. He would he would check out.
yeah, you'd feel like you're wasting your time when
Yeah.
you can, and yeah, that's what I mean, but now
So
what I'm, and I don't mean to take over this if
no, it's
you
all right.
had,
We're technically done. So we ended at 9.
okay, 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 yeah. So what I'm thinking now is usually what we do is they have to learn how to understand code before they can start to build cool stuff. But now that's totally flipped. They're going to be building cool stuff and then learning to understand the code later. So,
Yeah,
so
I think a intro to what's it uh DevOps might be a better way of doing it. Because really what you're talking about is DevOps type stuff of how do you set up your
yeah,
development operating system, and then what are the basics that you need to know about a computer for what's local storage. And local storage is just nice to use because for small little apps, it's a
yeah,
great tool, right?
it's portable. You don't have to set anything up, and yeah,
Yep. And yeah, there's minimal data storage concerns, and because once you start talking about, well, you need a server and the server's configured, then you have your endpoint and the endpoint connects. That I think if you get into by your fourth semester, that'd be cool stuff to start working with, where you have someone that has they have a server set up and they're playing these games. And you could do it with multiplayer games. Like if you look like that game I showed you, build a multiplayer version of that where that's what everyone's building and working. And I mean, I think there's ways you could do. You could be fun with it, so that way,
yeah. That, huh.
But like I said, I mean, if you want to try setting up some time after you think about it a little bit of to show, I'd be happy to. And you could
That'd be
invite
great.
some of your other, say we're gonna have someone come and look at this, and if there's other classes or other students that would just like to come just on that session, they might find it interesting because you
Yeah,
probably honestly have some people from your networking and other IT courses or even business courses that would be interested in that type of a vibe session.
we have we just got a IT club. It's just getting off the ground now, so maybe that'd be a better venue because that's going to have a broad range of students. It wouldn't just be students in my program, it would be other IT students as well. So I will definitely be contacting you about that.
Yep. Yeah, be happy to. So, and I can come in a couple times too. So,
Okay.
like we do these classes because, like for myself, I believe that if we don't embrace AI, that both our
Can get,
students, our employees, and the business that I work with will not be able to compete on a global marketplace. Like
yeah,
the
I
stuff I'm
totally.
showing you here, if you try to get software development companies to start up under the 2 year ago development model, they cannot compete with someone using Cursor, or it doesn't mean that they're not as smart, they're not as gritty, they're not as hardworking. They just can't compete. It's not a fair playing ground. It just
Mhm.
literally isn't a fair playing ground without knowing what are useful AI things I can do right now. And there's so much noise out there with AI that people oftentimes are like, well, I know AI is important, but what and how can I actually use it today in La Crosse, Wisconsin? So that's why we do these workshops, and it's a big passion of mine to help make sure our area is committed or ready for that very fast moving wave that's coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be happy to come down there and talk almost as much as you want. So
Okay. Thanks, Rodney.
all right. Any other questions of anyone on here? Oh, you're the only one on here.
I think we dropped off overall, but it's good discussions, and this is going to be good for a lot of people that are watching this. There's going to be a lot of takeaways. So
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I got a lot of things to think about. Thanks a lot, you guys. I didn't mean to keep you long. So,
well,
Hey, no.
have you downloaded Cursor yet?
I've used it. Yeah, I haven't paid for the subscription yet. But I've used it. I'm actually using VS Code and Copilot mostly.
All right.
So I haven't used and like I said, I'm not a very good vibe coder. I'm super slow because everything it generates, I go through and make sure I understand it, basically every single line of code. So, and I know that's not the most productive way to be using it, but I just can't help it. That's just the way I am programmed.
You know what? Try this then. Create a little game, but force yourself not to ever look at any of the files.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
I'm
gonna
serious.
be. Yeah. Yeah. I need to do
you
that.
can do that if you go ahead and whether you're Cursor or whatever, just go take this and do that.
I'm not allowed to look at the code.
Yeah.
And then
So
if you click the little thing on the top side of all your files and you go to like the search bar or whatever, you won't even be able to see your files.
Oh, right.
So-
Yeah.
I think seeing the files is fine because that helps you from a structure perspective, but just don't look at inside any of the files.
Huh.
So, and you can just teach it as a learning exercise, right? You're not building a useful program. What you're trying to teach yourself is what are the limits and capabilities of the AI, not what are the limits and capabilities of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can almost treat it as think of it as inverse cheating, that you're trying to test the AI, and if you look at the code, well, then you're not actually relying on what the AI told you, right? So therefore, and as an educator, you're trying to grade how good is this AI and the different models and things like that, just so that way you can speak intelligently on that. And if you look at the code, like my brother, again, as I mentioned, 20-year developer, he looks at the code all the time. I'm not saying that you don't look at the code, but just as a thought exercise, you want to see how far can you go without ever looking at the code.
Yeah, that's going to be I'm going to try that this week and we'll see how that goes.
Well, shoot me a message with whatever you build. So whether it's a space game or whatever,
Maybe I'll do our final project in my Web 4 class, which is to build a REST API. Maybe I'll see how fast it'll take me to build that without ever looking at the code. I have a feeling it'll just take a few minutes.
Yeah.
No,
you need to go higher than that. We build REST APIs in single prompts all the time. So you need to let's build a full game.
Okay. I'll build that. Yeah. I'll rebuild the game that took me 1.5 years to build 10 years ago. So.
You know what? Honestly, that is a great yes. Do that. Rebuild that game. But vibe, because you know the structure that you kind of want it under, right? How you did it before. Do that same structure. Treat yourself as a project manager, not a developer, and you're not allowed to look at any of the individual code. And then so you're doing QA and project management, and your prompts are your emails or Teams messages back and forth to the developer. I think that is a unique use case for you.
Wow. Yeah, that just gave me another big idea. Like just kind of telling it how to write the code, like write a class that does this, it represents the spaceship, and okay, cool. Do you guys meet do you guys meet once a month? Is that how
we meet once a month on this one.
Okay.
I have another one that meets weekly, but it's all IT, but we're doing coding stuff. I could let you in on that one if you wanted to, but it's a 1-hour session once a week on Thursday or Tuesdays at 10 o'clock.
That'd be great. I don't know if I could make all of them. I'm just trying to suck in as much of this AI stuff as I can right now because I know it's
Yeah, and that one we almost do exclusively software development in.
oh, that's great. That
But
Okay.
it's not educators; it's all business owners. So
okay. Yeah, if you don't mind,
yeah,
I'd try and-
I'm sharing you the link right now.
okay. Yeah, so
Copy
yeah,
link.
cool stuff. It's just amazing.
Let me send you the. I should be able to send you a message privately, right? I guess I can't. All right, here it is.
Okay, got it.
All right, I'm gonna delete that out of here
It's
now.
because he didn't verify on our website, so he's doesn't actually have emails and stuff
Oh, okay.
because he's external, I think.
That doesn't matter. We have a lot more restrictions on this one too, Jer. So
Yeah.
this is a webinar, not a Teams meeting. But
Yep. What? Yeah. Because we have a register button, and the people that do that, we have their information. But when I click on him, I only get his email, and I can't send him a message. I don't think.
all right,
Okay.
All right. Well, good chat today, fellas, and lots of good discussion. This continues to open your minds a little bit more to think outside of the box a little bit. So
Yeah, thanks a lot, you guys. I'll
all right.
see
Talk to you later.
Yeah.
See you
See ya.
next month or sooner. Thanks.